live.
Takes a few minutes there to get it loaded.
Some people would wonder if I ever went live, so.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to the December 9th meeting of the City of Bowling Green Zoning Board of Appeals. Before we go into our meeting, on behalf of all the members of the zoning board, I'd like to take this opportunity to extend our sincere sympathy to the Councilman Nomocles' family, both his university family and his city council family, and we're praying for a speedy and complete recovery from her injuries for his wife. Thank you. All right, if you've never had the privilege of spending an evening with us at the zoning board, let me tell you how it'll go. And we have a new member tonight, so Matt Bosdorf, welcome.
Thank you.
He is on Zoom and we're glad to have you.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We have three variances to listen to tonight. You're asking for a variance because you're asking us to take an existing city ordinance and change it for you. If your variance request is granted, the change will stay with the property. It will not go with you. So if you get to build a 6-foot fence at your home and you move someplace else, you can't build a 6-foot fence without coming back to the zoning board. We will conduct the meeting by reading the request for variance. The city will then explain what you're asking for and show us slides. We will then ask you to tell us why you're requesting this variance, why it's going to be a hardship if this variance is not granted for you. And then the board will ask you questions. We will close the public hearing. We will discuss among ourselves, come back out into a public hearing, and you will immediately get your answer as to whether or not your request for variance has been granted. You have the option, if your request is not granted, to go to the Court of Common Pleas. I'm going to ask you, I normally ask you to stand, but I'm not going to ask you to stand, but you do need to be sworn in. So if you're going to be speaking tonight, would you please raise your right hand? And as soon as I get the screen cleared so I can see you, we'll do it. Okay. Ready?
There it is. Yep, we're ready. I'm sorry. I'm just
Okay.
getting my presentation.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to assume that everybody answered on that one. All right, the first request is from Justin Donhuser at 260 Buttonwood Avenue. He has requested a variance to allow the construction of a 6-foot tall fence in the 25-foot front yard setback, which is a corner lot. Fence would be in the front yard that faces Pearl Street, which would be 2 feet taller than the maximum allowable height of 4 feet. Heather?
Thank you. Getting the slideshow there. Okay, so this is accordance of section 150.91 fences. A fence erected on a lot line or within a setback may not exceed the height of the following. In section B, 4 feet when placed within a required front yard setback, but must not be installed in such a manner as to violate section 150.05, which is the visibility triangle. Under section 150.16, bulk and density regulations, this is where we get the building setbacks. This property is zoned R2 single family, and we have circled here the front yard minimum, which is 25 feet. So in other words, a fence that is taller than 4 foot is not allowed to be in that front yard setback. Here's an aerial view of the property. So you'll see it at the corner of Buttonwood and Pearl. And as you know, a corner lot does have 2 front yards. So this would be in the front yard that faces along Pearl. Using pictometry, we show a front view of the property. And then this is the rear of the property. This is heading south, so seeing that other side of the property. And this is actually from Pearl Street, seeing that whole view of the property.
So I don't want to butt in, but that's actually the side where the fence would be. It was the last slide.
Using pictures, here is where you'll see he had started some posts there.
Mhm.
Closer up picture there along the sidewalk. Here's another view of the side. That would be Pearl. Again, looking at from Pearl. Another angle from Pearl towards Buttonwood. And then here's looking at the back of the home. Here's a sketch that was part of your packets showing that proposed fence line. We did not receive any written correspondence or any phone calls from any of the neighboring properties. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met. I did give you a letter that Justin had wrote. I emailed that to you and gave you a copy if you were present. I'm assuming Justin will read that letter.
Yeah, I was going to do that so I wouldn't be rambling.
Okay,
Okay, Justin, I would like to ask you to state your name and address. We have a court reporter here because this is a quasi-legal procedure, so the court reporter records everything that is said. So I'm going to ask you all to please speak up so that she can hear and understand you, which you're not wearing masks. She probably won't have a problem understanding you, but start off by giving us your name and your address. Justin?
Yeah, Justin Charles Donhauser, and I live at 260 Buttonwood Avenue.
Okay, now you can read your letter.
Yeah, so as was said, I'm requesting to put up a 2 foot taller than is regulation on the side of my house. And I really wanted to have that fence up in the rear yard on Pearl so that my children would be safer playing back there and that they would feel safer playing back there. And somewhat personally, they're with me. So my daughters are with me all the time now. I'm a single father and we've had kind of a rough year. So I really wanted to make the new house when we bought it special for them. And they don't really like playing in the backyard because it is on the busy street. So it would surely help if we had the fence up there. And then there are other practical reasons for it that are also mentioned in the letter. It would help block some of the traffic noise, especially in the morning, which wakes up my youngest daughter. And that is particularly disruptive now that they're homeschooling every day. Getting up an extra, hour and a half early isn't great. It would also better protect the kids from the traffic on the street, which is busy in the morning and after work. And a 6 foot fence would better contain sports balls and things that sometimes spill into the street. And we also have this fun problem, since it is a corner lot, of young people walking through my side yard and cutting corners on that side. So the fence would stop that also. I especially worry about that at night and them getting hurt cutting through my yard. So we get drunk college students and things wandering through there, which isn't great. And on an aesthetic note, I also think that side of my house isn't really that attractive, so the fence would be better for everybody. So I guess those are my reasons. It's basically for well-being.
Now, the posts that you have there is where you're going to be building your fence?
The posts that are there is I put up posts where there were previously posts. So I dug old post nubs out of the ground and put posts exactly where posts were.
Okay. And you strung lights on them, I noticed too, so.
I did string lights on them. Yeah, I do
Very
want
colorful.
to make it look better for the people that have to look at it.
Board members, do you have any questions or comments?
I guess the only question I have is for Heather. And Heather, did anybody take a look at the visibility triangles? And
Well,
is everything fine?
based on his measurements, they are. It's the 25-foot corner setback, so where those points meet is where you make the triangle. So according to the measurements, if he's at least 28 feet back, he clears that visibility triangle.
Yeah, the fence is 30 feet from either corner of my property. And I checked with the neighbors. You can see from the driveways and stuff, there's no visibility. It's basically just going along the side of my house. So it's not obstructing anything that my house wouldn't be obstructing anyway, essentially.
Justin, I drove that around the block one night several times, and I feel that it actually does block the traffic coming either from the alley or if you stop at the stop sign in Buttonwood. Would you be willing to bring those fence posts inward, closer to the house?
I hope that I wouldn't have to do that, and I would hope that we could deal with that in the variance. But if it were a problem, or maybe which corner, are you talking about the corner of,
When you stop at the stop sign on Buttonwood or coming out of the alley
yeah.
other side?
Do you think it would help if I just removed the corner post so that it was just a diagonal? Because then that corner of the fence would be gone.
I
I
don't,
would have
Justin,
to actually take a look at that, so I really can't say that today, but the way their fence post is close there to the sidewalk and pulling up that stop sign, if a car was coming down Pearl Street from the west, it would be right on you if you try to pull across that street.
I have to concur. I concur. I think you're going to have a similar issue coming out of your driveway too. Before you even get out of the driveway, the car is going to be right on top of you. I do have a question, a logistic question about the setback because of that yard on the Pearl side. That's considered a front yard.
Yeah.
Correct,
It's
yes.
yes, it's considered a house with 2 front yards.
So the setback for the front yard is how many feet?
25 feet.
Okay.
Which
Also-
his house now does not meet the 25-foot setbacks. It was built prior to 1975, the zoning code adoption. So the house is only about 16 feet away, I believe, according to the sketch. So it's hard to, I mean, he couldn't meet that 25
Sure, I get it.
regardless.
I've got Google Maps pulled up. I'm at 19.7 feet approximately to the side of the house.
Although I empathize on the fact about the kids in the yard playing. I have young kids myself and live on Pearl Street, but I know the traffic that travels down that street. And if someone would pull out of Buttonwood where those fence posts currently are, I feel that there's a strong chance there'd be an accident.
And also, if I may, I have to drive down Buttonwood and cross Pearl there for part of my job. And sometimes I use an SUV, which is a rather larger vehicle. And then there's other times I'm in a car. It's much more difficult in a car because you're lower. My concern is that even though there is a posted speed limit that is more manageable, a lot of folks don't follow that. And so as they're rolling down Pearl, there's not much room before you are on top of each other. You can't see that traffic with that fence that's proposed. And I would guess that if you were to take that corner off, in other words, make it a diagonal like you were suggesting earlier, that would improve it somewhat. But again, it doesn't solve the real issue, which is the issue on the other side of it, which blocks his ability to be able to see when he's backing out of the driveway to see what kind of traffic is rolling on, be westbound on Pearl. So, the extra 2 feet presents a concern. I don't know that it would be a concern for 4 feet, but it might be something to consider as well.
I got to be honest with you. The height isn't the concern as much for me as it is the proximity to Pearl Street.
Correct. And I sat there, waited for a couple of cars to pass by to see what the time is between when you see them and where they are right in front of you. And it was a matter of seconds.
It is.
Dave, did you have a quick comment?
No, I was the same thing. If they pull in the 2 end posts, it gives it a little bit more of a diagonal. But if he's backing out, there's no way he's going to see anything if that fence is fixed coming out of his drive.
So do you think that pulling out the 2 corner posts so that there are diagonals is a reasonable solution to this? Because then it's basically straight to the corners of the house is what you'd be seeing.
I would actually have to say had to pull that whole row back from the sidewalk a number of feet. And I'd really have to look at it to really see where that number was.
What kind of fencing are you going to be? I mean,
What's that? Just a stockade fence.
okay, so it's not a chain link that could be seen through. It's enclosed, you can't see into.
That wasn't the plan, no.
Justin, what, most of the reasons that you gave could probably be handled by a 4-foot fence, which would be perfectly legal.
Still within, not within 25 foot.
Yeah, but not within the 25
And I don't
foot, but
think you
you
can see
could,
over, you can see over 4-foot fence in the car. I drove with the van in the car, one thing in my car, even in the van, 4 feet was tough. You wouldn't see
Okay.
the car.
Because coming out of my driveway, I've got a 4-foot fence, but it's chain link. And I drive a little Honda and I can see through, that's why I asked what type of fence. I can see through it. And if it were some type of fencing that you could see through, then if you put it on the sidewalk, the way he's proposed, you could see through it to see cars coming easily.
yeah.
My car's not even 4 foot, not barely 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
Sitting down, it's always 4 foot.
But you could see if it were chain link.
Yeah, you can see through it.
You could see through it if it were a fence that you could see through.
From my driveway, the fence isn't an issue because I have to look around the posts that are all along the sidewalk anyway, so I have to pull up into
I'm
the.
sorry, we can't hear or understand you. You want to start?
Oh, did I freeze or something? Yeah, I was saying from my driveway, the fence wouldn't really matter because there are telephone poles all along the sidewalk there that I have to pull up in front of anyway. So I have to pull out farther than the fence would be to see if traffic's coming anyway. So I usually back into my driveway. So the fence isn't going to add anything for.
I'm sorry, sir, you got to talk up because we're trying to record what you're saying.
Yeah,
Want to say the last part again, please?
yeah. The fence isn't going to add any safety concern coming out of my driveway because I already have to pull forward because of the telephone poles that are all along the sidewalk. And they're out farther than the fence would be anyway. So I already have to pull out farther to see what's coming down the street.
See, I disagree with that because you can see before the telephone pole. You don't have to pull out that far past the pole to see, because you can see the traffic before the pole. Put a fence there, you're not seeing anything.
I'm not sure if I follow, but okay.
Is there any further discussion?
I mean, like I said, really, I just want to put the fence up so that my kids want to play in my backyard. It's been a really bad year. I lost my job at the university and had a bunch of other jobs over the months and unfortunately had to get divorced. So it's been kind of rough for them.
And we can appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think our concern is the people that are trying to drive there and not being able to see and perhaps having an accident, which would not be very good for anybody.
Mhm.
I mean, even pulling it back to halfway, the distance between the house and the sidewalk would be a big, may be able to see that distance. Like I said, I have to go out there and sit at the stop sign and really take a look.
So have you got, your diagram that you drew says 16 foot between the house and the road.
Yep, 16 feet.
3 inches. 16.3.
I think we lost the,
There we go.
Oh, is that what happened?
Justin, you're the host now, it says. Congratulations.
Oh, all right. Well, in that case, yeah.
Give them a minute to reconnect.
Yeah.
We can see you, but we can't hear you guys.
You guys are muted.
You're muted.
There.
There we go.
Okay, Justin, can you hear us now? And can,
Yeah, we lost a couple of minutes there.
yeah, we did, but we weren't discussing you. We held off until you could be a part of it. Okay?
Okay,
Well,
so
thank
the
you for
que-
that.
The question was that if he drops the fence back, it looks like he's got 16-foot some inches between the edge of the sidewalk and the edge of the house. Would that satisfy being able to see around that corner from where that stop sign is? I mean, you'd have to mow a strip on the outside of that fence and you'd lose a couple foot there, but you could conceivably still get the fence.
Bring it back 8 feet from the sidewalk.
Talking
Basically
8,
split the difference between the house and the sidewalk fence. And it's frozen.
I've got the distance from the house to the sidewalk at about 12 feet.
Yeah, it's 12 feet. It wouldn't be 16 feet.
I'm
Distance
sorry,
from-
we still, you need to talk up.
The distance from the house to the sidewalk isn't 16 feet. The distance from the corner of the house to the street is 16 feet.
okay.
The distance from the house to the sidewalk is about 12 feet.
Yeah, I think it's a little less than 12 feet. But yeah.
So if he drops it back, if you drop it back 4 foot, then that probably makes up that difference of what you asked for with 8 foot, Chris,
Okay.
from the
Yeah,
edge of the
but
road.
I'd really have to go out there and take a look at it before I'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, it depends
If
on
I
where the
may-
stop sign is because then you can see,
Right.
you know?
There's already a couple trees there, a couple bushes. Are those shrubs, Justin? Yeah, evergreens.
Yeah, they're evergreen shrubs.
I guess in my mind, those are already, an existing, what I would call existing obstruction. Potentially going to cause an issue in the future, like across the street there, those pine trees, they have to keep them trimmed up. But if the fence were to align with those trees, I would think without driving out there, we'd have a lot less of a problem.
Yeah, that's what I noticed when they had that bush sitting there in the front, that corner there. If it was aligned more with that bush, but like I said, I'd have to go out there and really revisit it. So if that's something you're willing to do, I'd be happy to table this.
If I can interrupt for a minute, if you look at the picture, it actually shows the home and the street. If you look, there's a car parked at the corner to try to exit out onto from Buttonwood. You'll notice it has to pull past the stop bar currently in order
Yeah.
to be able to see what to do. If we, I think if we're talking about trying to figure out what's appropriate, where that fence can be placed, we really need to visualize that, to see it at the moment, rather than to say it would be okay, possibly. My concern is that that's just a dangerous place to be putting up a 6-foot high fence, no matter where it sits, because it is going to block east-west traffic flow.
Yeah, I had to see stopped at that stop line in a vehicle where that fence, how far that fence could really come out to drive what I consider safe.
Yeah, see, the car is actually sitting over a third of the vehicle is over the stop bar already.
Yeah, when I did that, when I checked it out, I stopped at the stop bar. I might have been on it. I was pretty close.
Do we lose them again?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I can hear you guys. I think we lost the chamber.
I think they're frozen. Yeah.
Apparently, they're not responding to us. Looks like their picture is frozen.
And now I'm the host again.
There we go.
Okay, do I have you back now?
Yeah, I think we're
Yeah.
back again.
Okay, okay. Justin, you may want to take the suggestion of tabling this until next month, until we can go out there and take more exact measurements. So we're not guessing or thinking this is going to be all right. And then then after we can meet again next month, we'll just table it for now. Is that all right? Do you have a problem with that, or do you want to go to a vote?
I guess we should table it. I didn't think it would be this much of a discussion, actually. But yeah, mostly because the telephone poles and existing trees already block stuff so that you have to pull out anyway. But yeah, sure.
All right. I'm going to move that we table this request until the next zoning board meeting where we can have more exact measurements and figures. May I have a second?
I second.
Will the secretary call the roll, please?
Waddle, yes. Fleeger,
Yes.
Ostrowski,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes,
Ostor,
Yes,
Hess,
that was a yes to table it.
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know if you can hear me or not. Yes.
Another
Yes, we
yes.
can hear you. We can
Rose
hear you.
isn't up there.
Rose isn't there.
Rose isn't there? All right.
We lost Rose.
Judy?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Justin, we're going to take, Rose is back. Rose?
Rose,
We're going
I
to-
am
back.
Oh, okay, we're calling the roll call to vote to table the motion until next month for Justin.
Okay,
How do you vote?
I will prove that, yes.
Okay, thank you. Justin, the motion is carried. We will table it until next month when we all will have better measurements and a better idea. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but that's the best alternative for right now.
Yeah, that sounds perfectly reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask that you think about the diagonal thing and just removing the corner
Right.
post as an
We
option.
do that. And and feel free to contact our planning department. Heather is wonderful and she will help you in every way she can.
Yeah, she's been wonderful. Yeah.
She is wonderful. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, the next request is Paul Kovich has requested a variance to allow the construction of a 33-inch by 60-inch, 13.75 square foot monument sign that would exceed the 14 square foot total maximum sign aggregate by 13.5 square feet for Garden Grove townhouses at 1005 North Grove Street.
Again, I'm going to recuse myself from this
All
part
right.
of it, and I'll come back for the.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show that Chris Ostrowski has recused himself and left the table on this one. Heather.
Thank you. So you'll recall that we had a similar request from Mr. Quapic in October. What he's done so far is he did attain a permit for the monument sign that you approved that setback variance in October. So that has been approved. But since then, he has decided to ask for that second sign, which increases the total aggregate that you're allowed for an apartment complex. If you recall last time too, there was some discussion on the existing wall signs that were put up. I don't know how many decades ago. So since then, they have changed that sign to be the address of the building, which does not qualify as a sign under our zoning code.
Have they actually changed?
Yeah, they
the
did.
sign?
Yes, and you will see in
Yeah.
I will show you in the presentation here. So under section 150.55 outdoor advertising, I-4, for reasons of public safety, apartment complex and subdivision entrance signs located on a property and a residential district may have an aggregate square footage of 14 square feet. You'll see an aerial view of the property. The property does have frontage along Fairview and then frontage along North Grove Street. This diagram, that first star is where that monument sign was already approved by a sign permit. And then that second star there along North Grove is what they're wishing to also get approved for by a variance. Using pictometry, this is facing north, seeing the whole complex together. This is headed west to see the complex. Actually, that was east, I'm sorry. Directionally challenged tonight. This is facing south to see the complex. And then this would be towards the north. Here's a picture of the property. This is looking on North Grove Street, so you can get a kind of feeling there. That's that former wall sign that's now the address. So a little closer up, this is North Grove. This was the wall sign before it was changed. So it did say Garden Grove Townhomes and the phone number before. And then this approximate location of where that second monument sign would go. As part of your packet, there is a site plan showing that proposed second monument sign. And then here's a rendering of the sign. This was the same sign that was approved to be along Fairview. We did not receive any phone calls or written correspondence from the adjoining property owners. An advertisement was placed in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the administrative code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed first class mail to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Mr. Klavik?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me back once
Wanna
again.
State your name and address for the court reporter, please.
Yes, Paul Kwapik, 221 Allen Street, Maumee, Ohio, 43537.
Okay,
And I have not been sworn in yet. I don't know if that needs to
yes, it
happen
does.
again.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So yes, thanks for having me back. Heard you guys loud and clear on the last round. Got the pencils back out with Toledo sign. Came up with what we thought was a good solution for everybody in changing the building signage to address signage. In addition, I'd asked the group something we didn't really chat about last meeting was I'd asked you guys to consider just the hardship we do face there with 2 entrances as opposed to 1. I think that's important while reviewing this. And we have not changed the signage design. I think everybody, if you've driven the site, you can see the new sign. It looks really sharp. We are going to landscape around that sign with stone. I mean, it's going to look really good. So, we come back to you with that plan in mind. Hope it's an easy approval. Happy to answer any questions. Any questions anyone has.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions? The monument sign is a good looking sign.
It is.
Thank you.
Much better than the sign that was on the building.
Agreed.
And I give you credit for taking the measure to just paint over the other and change it into your address. That makes sense. That way you don't have to worry about what's behind it as you were concerned about before. So
Thank you.
well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was a very good solution.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments?
All I
This
know
variance
is,
is strictly for the second sign because of the,
Right, because of the,
Total.
Total
the
aggregate
aggregate sign, yeah.
But-
yeah.
but nothing to do with the location, correct?
No.
Correct.
No, nothing to do with the location.
Okay.
Just with the total, the aggregate total.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I mean, I understand because of the 2 entrances that it does. I do understand because of the 2 entrances, if you come in off of Grove, you just don't see that other sign. Just it's Fairview. So that makes perfect sense.
I know in speaking with law enforcement that they're all in favor of additional signage in places like that to make it easier to navigate in the event of emergency or anything like that. So our civil servants like having additional signage, makes it easy for them to find places.
That makes sense. Anyone else? If not, I will close the public hearing and the board members will discuss it amongst themselves. Any comments, questions, suggestions? That includes you, the folks on Zoom too, so.
No, I'm fine. I think we know what we needed to know.
Okay, hearing none, we'll come back into public hearing and may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there,
Second,
all right, the motion was made and seconded. Will the secretary call the roll?
Judy?
Yes.
Rose?
he's not there.
She's not there again?
No, she's not there.
Okay.
She'll come-
Matt?
There, she came back, so.
Oh, there she is.
Matt?
Yes.
Hobie?
Yes, Yes.
David,
Yes.
Waddle, yes. Rose?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
I thought I heard a yes.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Thank you.
The request for your variance has been granted, and thank you for working with us. This is a lot
Thank
easier than the
you.
last time you were here, wasn't it?
Yeah, heck yeah. I'll take this any day.
Okay, so will we.
Appreciate it. I assume I don't need to stick around, correct?
No, you don't. No, you do not.
Thank you all. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Chris, you can come back now. The last one is Cassandra Moss, 610 Kenwood Avenue, has requested a variance to allow the construction of a 6.5-foot by 23-foot porch, which would encroach 10 feet into the 25-foot required front yard setback.
Thank you, Judy. We do have someone else on behalf of Cassandra, the property owner, in attendance. So I will let you know when I'm done with that report for her to talk. The following for each district are the required minimum residential lot sizes and building setbacks. This is under section 150.16 bulk and density regulations. This property is zoned R2 single family that has a minimum front yard setback of 25 feet. And that is what is required for any type of addition to a home. As you can see on this aerial view, it is near the corner of Sandridge and Kenwood. It does consist of 4 different parcels, so the house is sort of spread across 3 of those parcels. Using pictometry, here's some different views of the house. One of the sides facing north, the rear of the home, the other side of the home closer to the corner of Sandridge, and then the front view of the home. So you can see there, you know, it wasn't there before, it's just a little stoop by that picture. Here is a view of the front of the home. You can see a little bit, you know, minus the snow, imagine it not be there. There is the ramp there that leads to the larger decking. And then here's a little better view of that. And then here was the sketch that was part of your packets. So that helps kind of visualize that addition to the front. And then that is approximately 15 feet. I did include a letter from basically code enforcement helps write these because he is the one that saw the porch that was built that did not have a permit. So we went back and forth with the owner to try to get this corrected. So that is part of that packet. Unless you have any questions about that, let me know. We also did not receive any written correspondence or any type of phone calls regarding this request. We did place an advertisement in the newspaper of general circulation as required. A site notice was placed at the site. The other notices required by the Ministry of Code were posted in the proper time and location. A letter was mailed, first class mail, to the tax mailing address of the owner and adjoining property owners. Therefore, all the procedure requirements for the hearing have been met.
Thank you. I understand that Cassandra Moss has her daughter Samantha Olivia to be proxy for this. So Samantha, you want to
Hi.
state your name and address, please?
My name is Sam Oliveira. I live in Weston on 20535 Yvonne Lane. And then I'm representing my mother, Cassandra Moss, and she has the property on 610 Kenwood in Bowling Green.
Thank you. Now, would you like to tell us a little bit about it and why you're asking for this variance and what the hardship is that's involved?
Yeah, definitely. So essentially the reason that she started the construction on the deck, and just to be clear, it is only the deck that we're talking about today, not the fence at all. When she started the construction on the deck, she covered the existing cement and like kind of weathered, not so nice looking shabby stuff outside in order to give herself a little room so she could sit out on the porch and really enjoy her front yard. Later on, she found out that her property was already approaching that the distance where you could not build anything else. Actually, the old porch would have encroached upon it, but it had been built before that. So I know there was some hostilities and stuff, but in the end, what it boiled down to, as far as I'm concerned, and I think you would be concerned as well, is that it makes the house look a lot nicer. It actually beautifies the neighborhood a little bit, and it doesn't really add anything negative to the neighborhood or the properties around. If anything, it's a win-win-win situation. The only issue is that it is an older home and it does extend a little further than the cement porch would have, or did, I mean. But it doesn't block any visual from the road or anything like that. I feel like looking at the before and after pictures, you can tell it's a completely different house, and it is better for the city and for her to have something like this.
The board members have any questions?
I noticed
I
in the
do.
letter that it's also a physical limitations and why there's a ramp there, I guess now. Is that part of that?
Oh, no, the ramp isn't for her. The physical limitations are because she's a bigger woman, much larger. She could not fit on the other porch. So it was a situation where when it snowed and when it got slippery, because she only had an inch or two one way or the other, she had a really good chance of falling and hurting herself. The ramp is more because she has a dog with knee problems, and she thought it would be more convenient for the dog so she could take it to walk. But no, the ramp isn't actually for her. And if that was something that needed to be replaced, we could adjust that.
Heather, my only question was in terms of the average front yard setback was, first of all, was this off by much? And second of all, was 630 included in that? Because 630 sits way back. So I figured that had to have some impact on the averages. I looked at the other houses in that immediate area. They all seem to be probably in front of her
Yeah,
house.
I
So
would
You're
agree.
exactly right. We did
Yeah.
have a surveyor check that average front yard setback, and it didn't help the situation. So that's
Yeah.
why 25 was the, going with that for our two single family was the best bet. So either way, it would have to be a variance, whether we use the average or the 150.16 section.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Mhm,
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, I may get cut off.
And you were,
I'm
Rose.
just
Oh,
curious
no, did
about
she
a
get
couple
cut
things.
off?
The city sent a letter. Did I get cut off?
No, you're back.
Can you hear me now? All right, I'll be there in person next month, Heather. I'm curious about the letters that were sent by the city to you, why there was no response to the first letter. Do you know?
Honestly, going again along with her trying to enjoy her yard and being a bigger woman, she suffers from severe depression. And that manifests in a lot of avoidance. So a lot of times when it's snail mail or mail going straight to her residence, it'll be a month before she checks it. And so the family tries to stay on top of it when she's having episodes, but I'm sure that was the case.
Okay, and then I had another question. When was the porch finished?
It actually isn't finished.
Oh, it's not finished.
No.
No.
So they began construction. She hired my cousin who works in construction to begin it. And then when the issues came up, we had him stop completely until we could figure everything out. It's probably a day away from being completed. But right now, it is not at completion. And it's for the most part good, but it's not fully what they're going to be doing. I think the only things that they really need to put in right now are a couple beams to actually attach it to the house, and a couple why am I having that brain fart? A couple of the slats in the bottom need to be attached correctly. And he stopped as soon as he was told to. So I'm not 100% sure of every little thing that they need to do, but he's assured me that it's like maybe 5 hours of work.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing, and board members?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if we were to find that we would approve, it would concern me that we would maybe say something in that we don't want this, if there's more work to be done, we don't want the footprint of this porch to change than that which is being offered to us at this time.
Mhm. Other board members, any other?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Ms. Olivier, we would like to add that there's nothing else, if the construction has not been completed, that there's nothing that changes what your request for your variance is from the 6'5" times 23, which would encroach 10 feet into the 25-foot required front yard setback, that the construction does not change these measurements in any way.
I am completely all right with that.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any other suggestions or comments? If not, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Will the secretary call the roll?
Johnson,
Yes,
Osdorf,
Yes.
Ostrowski,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes,
Flager,
Yes.
Ennis.
Yes.
Waddle, yes.
Request for the variance has been granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we move to the approval of the minutes, as you know, I'm the representative from the Planning Commission, and I usually go to the Planning Commission meetings and tell them what we've done here. But tonight, I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about what the Planning Commission did. Is that we set for public hearing on January 6th at 7 p.m. the discussion on the historical preservation legislation that has been presented, the proposed legislation to the Bowling Green City Code, and I believe you can find that legislation on the city website. If not, you can certainly call the city and they would be able to send you a copy of it. It's extremely important that you give your feedback because frankly, the zoning board is mentioned in here. So you might want to make a note so that you do attend this Zoom or in-person meeting of the Planning Committee, the public hearing on the proposed historical district for the city of Bowling Green.
It was 6 January.
It's January 6th, right? At 7 o'clock, right here. And now may I have an approval for the minutes as mailed?
So moved.
The second,
Second.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make any comments? Hearing none, I would like to wish everyone safe and happy holidays, and please stay safe. And thank you very much for attending with us tonight. We're done. May I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Vote with your feet. Thank you very much. Thank